Come with me while I make changes to my website in preparation for the relaunch. So we've been talking about the 10 mistakes that I made that caused my business to fail the first time. And we're going to continue today with mistake number 5. But I thought it would be a good idea to take you guys along with me as I start to do some changes to the website in preparation for the relaunch after I have fixed all of these mistakes. So here we are. We're in my Shopify store of my website. So the first thing I want to do is that we talked about several videos ago that I was going to be retiring some of the older products that I felt like were not in line with the brand and the direction that I want the brand to go. And so I created a clearance product to make those products available one last time before they get completely retired from the website. So this is the listing for the clearance product. It includes 3 courses, 3 ebooks, and a workbook. And it's only for $9.99. But what we're going to do is I put the product in the First Steps to Freedom collection. So what I have is these are the 3 collections that I have on my website. So the First Steps to Freedom is basically for those that are new to the brand, that have never purchased any of my products before, but want a lower ticket product to kind of see if my products are something that they would be interested in, and if they are actually helpful for whatever they're purchasing it for, and those kinds of things. And so that is the First Steps to Freedom collection. And so when I put the listing in there, I was kind of in a rush, and I put the listing in there and just put it in there because it is something that a lot of people wouldn't know about, and it would be mostly people that are newer to my brand that would be looking for this clearance product. However, I was thinking about it, and because most of the whole point of that collection is to be lower ticket items, and they're all $4.99 for a reason, right? So to have that product added there, it's not $4.99. Also, the other thing is that all of the products in that collection are PDF downloads. And so that product is, there's PDF books in the product, but there's also courses, video courses. And so the alignment, just in terms of them looking the same and being the same, just kind of isn't there. And I don't want customers to get confused. So I'm going to create a new category for clearance items and just put that item in its own category. So while I'm doing that, let's talk about mistake number 5. Mistake number 5 was not evolving, not growing, and keeping the same products. So this is my website, and I revamped the website about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. But prior to that, there was no branding. There was no cohesion in terms of the design. Each product had a different design, and it was just kind of all over the place. And so I did a complete overhaul, a complete revamp to try to include branding and try to that's when I created the different categories and all kinds of things. And so I did that, but again, that was like a year, maybe a year and a half ago, and I haven't made very many changes to the website since then, and I certainly have not added very many products. It's been like maybe one product every 5 or 6 months. And so one of the things that I feel like definitely hurt the brand is that there was no changes, no evolving, no growth, right, to the brand. It was basically the same products, and not creating many new products. And then the ones that I did create, it was more so for quantity rather than quality. And we will talk about that in a minute when I make the next change to the website. Okay, so we've moved our clearance item to a clearance category, created that category, moved the item over there. So that's been done. Okay, so the next thing is all of these products that say marriage and divorce workbook. I am going to archive all of those products, and that leads me into what I was saying about part of the mistake being creating products for quantity rather than quality. So what I did was I took my book that's called Revelations of the Heart, and that book is a collection of the most frequently asked questions for women of faith that are considering divorce. So things like, how do I make sure my kids will be okay? How do I make sure that I don't feel guilty for the rest of my life? How do I know if, remarriage is going to be acceptable? Things that are most common, and each chapter deals with that question, and they're very, each chapter is no more than a page or 2 pages long, so it's meant to be straight to the point, answer your question and move on. And so what I did was I took each question and made it a product by itself, where if you had one particular question, you could just buy the product for that question and move on. But the value in just having one question, when you could just have all of your questions answered at once, I would personally rather that value be there than to offer something cheaper, just so that I can have more products. And so that's basically what I did. Was all of these marriage and divorce ones are just one question out of that book. And going forward, I want the brand to focus on quality and not quantity. So I have those lower priced options in the first steps to freedom, but all of those options are good options where they are quality and you're getting way more than what you're paying for. And that's the way that I would like my brand to be going forward, is that anytime you purchase a product, you're going to get more than what you're paying for. And so I feel like with these particular products, you're only getting one question, and I just don't feel like it's getting you would get exactly what you're paying for instead of getting more, and I would just rather give more. And so for me, I would rather just sell the $20 full book, which includes all of the questions, rather than having the smaller $4.99 ones per question. So I'm going to remove all of those, which will make that category look more skimpy, like it has less products, but I will feel more comfortable with those products that are listed. And then going forward, I will add more products, but I will be very selective and only add products that I know are the top quality and that are going to really bring the most value and the most help to my customers. So those are the mistakes that I made, is, having a website where the products are stagnant and you're not making any new product. Going forward, that is not a good strategy, to not have any kind of innovation, any kind of changes to the website, and for the business to be stagnant and not growing. And so I'm really taking this opportunity to refine the website, not leave any products up there that I do not 100% stand behind, and just kind of start from the ground up. And if that means that the inventory looks a little skimpy, then I would much rather do that than have products up there that I don't 100% stand behind. And then the last thing I want to do is I am going to add branding to this product. So this product, you guys may remember a while ago, I did several videos talking about hindrances. The Lord gave me a word about hindrances and those things that hinder us from being able to move forward and accomplish the plan and purpose that God has for us. The things that we get excited about and say, you know what, I really want to do this. I'm motivated. I'm going to get started. And then you run into a roadblock. Those roadblocks were things that were, just hindering progress and hindering and making you just say you want to give up and you don't want to do it anymore. And so I kind of went to the Lord about that, because I had a lot of those kinds of things in my life. And the Lord was letting me know that, rather than trying to avoid those things and look at those things as roadblocks, how about going through them? How about using them to your advantage? Instead of trying to make them go away, make them work for you, right? And so I created this product as a way to kind of remind ourselves what those hindrances are, and then to change our way of doing things to include those hindrances rather than trying to avoid them. And so I created that product, but again, I kind of created it in a rush. And so as you can see, the cover of the listing is the cover of the product and not an actual listing cover like all of the other products. And so it kind of stands out and sticks out like a sore thumb. And so I want to fix that, because again, going forward, I want to make sure I'm using my branding, and I'm going to make sure that everything is cohesive and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and change the branding for this product and make sure that it can look like all of the rest of them. So that is mistake number 5, is not evolving and not growing and keeping the same products and not creating new products, and really just kind of, not creating products with intentionality. When I talked about creating that product for quantity instead of quality. And so just really kind of not being thoughtful about the products that are created, and just making sure that the customer experience is that there's always something new to see, that there is, regular updates and changes. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm deciding to do a launch and really planning out, multiple launches throughout the year, because it's important that I fix that mistake and don't have, an entire year go by again where the same products are there and there are no changes on the website. So that is the way that I'm planning to fix this issue going forward. So I'm going to be doing this kind of thing regularly going forward, where I'm just going to be making changes, making updates, and just making sure that the website is where I want it before I begin to add the new products for the launch. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we will continue tomorrow with mistake number 6. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you on your journey to freedom. I am Amanda Nicole, and I am the CEO of Freedom Through Divorce. And so I create personal development courses and ebooks and all kinds of things that are geared towards women of God who have been through divorce, who are considering divorce, and who want to move towards freedom and finding their purpose in God. So what is Freedom Through Divorce? Well, Freedom Through Divorce is actually an online school full of personal development courses for women of God who have been through divorce or who are considering divorce. Anyone who has had to deal with divorce understands that it is extremely difficult. There are so many balls that you have to juggle. Will the children be okay? Is this something that God is going to be okay with? How does it affect my relationship with God? How am I going to learn how to be independent as a new single person or a new single mom? And there's so many things you have to consider. And as a Christian, there are just so few resources out there to help you understand how to navigate those things. So this is a school that really goes from considering divorce and understanding God's views on divorce, when it's acceptable, when it's not acceptable, and understanding that there are so many more cases where God sees divorce as acceptable than what is normally taught out there. And it does it in a way that is not condescending, that's not judgmental, that is just giving you the information from God's heart. And most importantly, is from someone that's been through what you're going through. It's not just theology. It's not just, I read this or I heard this, but it's someone that's actually walked through it. So the personal development courses are meant to help you move and experience freedom through divorce, because there's so many people who they get a divorce, but they don't thrive afterwards. They stay stuck. They stay bitter. They stay telling anyone that'll listen how terrible their ex is. And that's not God's plan for you. God wants you to be able to move towards the purpose and plan that He has for your life and to thrive so that the chapter of your life post-divorce is better. That's what the word says. It says your latter days shall be greater than the former days. So that's what Freedom Through Divorce is all about. It's personal development courses that you can take the information from a biblical perspective and experiencing God's freedom, His prosperity, His love, His joy, His peace, all of the fruits of the Spirit and the blessings that He sent His Son to die for you to be able to have. Just because you've had to go through a divorce does not mean that you are negated from the promises that God has for you. So that's what Freedom Through Divorce is. If you're interested in learning more, visit our school today.